What's up YouTube? Got another knife review here for you. Today we are going to be looking at the Benchmade 300 SN. Let me first start off by saying that these are not my knives. One of my friends that I met over YouTube, I think I sold him a knife a long time ago, asked me to get these knives, or asked to have these knives shipped to me. And then I would then in turn ship them over to Germany for him. So I'm going to be doing that in the next couple of days. And so he said, why don't you do a review on them? I kind of didn't want to do a review on them because of what I might say. Because from the get-go, when this knife came out, I thought it was an absolute pig of a knife, like a just absolute disgusting knife. But before I get into it, let me talk about the knife, try to give an objective review of it, and then I will verbalize my absolute disdain of this knife. And then I know some people will probably rail me for it, and some people I know are in absolute agreement with me on this knife. Basically, everything I hate about this knife is all in the aesthetics and even in the operation of the knife, kind of. So anyway, let me get started here. What we have is a 3 and under a quarter, so probably like 3 and 3.1 inch blade or so. A little bit over 3 inches basically. 154 cm. This is a Butch Ball collaboration. I don't know much about Butch Ball. I've only seen one of his other customs. I think Terra Fanatic owns that knife, and I told him I really disliked it. Again, aesthetically, it just wasn't pleasing. I'm sure. Actually, even functionally, I think there were some issues with it. If I remember the video correctly, it's got Benchmade standard axis lock, which is extremely smooth on here in terms of closing the knife. You just see how that knife falls in. So that's definitely one of the bonus or good features about this knife. This is Benchmade's first and only flipper, I think, that they have out there. It's got the standard deep carry pocket clip now that Benchmade has been using on some of their knives. Steel liners, it is skeletonized as well, if you can see in there, so to take away some of the weight. Stock is probably 0.12 or 115 a blade stock of 154 cm. Jimping on top is decent. There's a little bit of jimping on the on the flipper for you to grab onto. Flipping action is not terrible. The detent though is extremely weak, given that it's axis lock detent. So your detent is as strong as your omega spring. So you can see, as I'm not really putting that much pressure on it, but you have to deliberately. I don't know, it's coming out, but again, it's so incredibly weak. So it's the same with this knife as well. Versus, say, the Spyderco Flipper, which is an effortless flipper. Nice that I slipped in that first one. This detent is strong, and when you look at the difference, this is production Spyderco's first flipper, and when you look at this detent, as it falls in, it's just so much. As far as a flipper is concerned, you can hear that authority in the flip, where this is just like that weak little, it's basically the axis lock overcoming, that little barrier on the blade. So, for me, I'm not that huge of a fan in general of the axis lock anyway, but yeah. So, and then, okay, that's pretty much it, honestly. ergonomics of the knife, they're nice. They're pretty good. You know, the handle is relatively short, but it's got these, you know, 3-finger cutouts here, so your hand can, I don't know, if you have huge hands, then maybe like it'll be 3 here and then pinky hanging off on the side or whatever. But you know, my 4 fingers can easily fit on this handle here. You know, so overall length, I'm not sure. It's probably about 7.5, 7 inches or so. But yeah, so decently comfortable. These little milling jobs, I consider this like an unfinished Anzo pattern. Like they didn't go far enough, you know. And honestly, to me, the scale, I'm already getting into the I hate factors here. You know, the scale looks like a piece of dog crap. You know, like a, yeah, petrified dog poo. And they put this on the scale, and you know, did this. I mean, it's for me, it's hideous. Looks absolutely terrible, you know, for a scale. I would dye this black. You know, that would be the first thing I do. This one, you can see the pattern is different. You know, this has a, it's milled all the way through. This is not Anzo pattern, but you know, you guys got the lines here, and it's got black blue G10, which looks a little bit better, you know, for a knife. You know, like, see, I just flip it out there, and I'm trying to flip it out, but then, you know, sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. So I don't know. It's, I'll say this about Benchmade and their axis locks. For actuating and closing the knife, I mean, it's great. You know, it closes so easily. Sometimes it's so smooth that it bounces back out. But you know, for a flipper, it just, man, it's not conducive for a flipper. You know, especially when you're accustomed to good flippers, whether it be like the Spyderco or, you know, whether it be, you know, I mean, you feel just the authority coming out from that flipper, or a ZT 0801. You know, they all flip out with intense authority, whereas these ones, it just, you know, even like the very deliberate flip, you know, it's just very weak. So I don't know. That's all opinion and all those things. I haven't used these knives obviously because they're not mine. I will say this, you know, if you are subscribed to Benchmade's YouTube channel, I actually love their channel because they do a lot of very very good tests. And the axis lock, as much as I hate it, seems to be a very strong lock. That being said, there are quite a bit of moving parts, mechanisms, the omega springs, the axis lock, you know, coming back and forth here. You know, the steel liners are just a pain in the butt to get through, and I mean, it's not hard to disassemble. I've assembled plenty of Benchmade axis locks and with no problems whatsoever. You know, even like something like the Barrage, where you have to re-engage the axis spring inside the pivot. It's not that bad. So yeah. So anyway, for the money, and these are going at what, 100. Well, I know these were on sale from Blade HQ. I don't know what the price was that my friend got it at. I'm just looking at Amazon. Amazon's selling them for $148, which to me I think is absolutely crazy. Like, I would never pay $148 for for these knives, considering the fact that you can get this from Amazon, which is a far superior steel in CTS 204P. Are you kidding me? You know, for right now, Amazon has it for $218. With, I mean, clip is whatever, but you know, over travel, frame lock, titanium, you know, amazing steel, superior flipping action. I mean, I don't want to say superior ergonomics. I mean, the ergonomics are, you know, I think they're better on the Southern, or even like, you know, on this one, I think you can get these for like 170, 180 or so. Again, you're talking about titanium slabs. ZT's LMAX steel is not great, that's for sure. But It's better than 154 cm in general. Although, again, if you look at Benchmade's torture tests, the 154 cm actually performs quite well. So, again, that they have that going for them. Really, I would say my biggest beef, or if I were to, you know, percentage-wise, 70% I hate this knife because of the aesthetics. I think the scales are just absolutely butt ugly. The curves of it are gross. It's this kind of bull-nosed looking short stubby blade I really dislike. The clips or whatever. And then 30% is the flipping mechanism and the axis lock that I dislike in general. It's just a very weak flipper. You have to kind of get it right at the tip and button push it if you really want to get a successful flip in. Again, actuating the lock is pretty nice. I like that feature. But, you know, again, in general, if you've followed my channel, you know that I'm not a huge fan of the axis lock. So anyway, I don't want to go too long and keep talking about how much I dislike this knife. But Benchmade 300 SN, if you like the aesthetics of it, and you like the axis lock, and you like the fact that it's USA made, go for it. You know, you might like this knife, but for me, I love titanium frame locks. I love strong flippers. This knife is it's just not for me. So anyway, that's my take on the Benchmade 300 SN. I cannot suggest or advocate for this knife because I absolutely dislike it. So anyway, leave your comments down below. Thanks for watching. You guys take care, and I will see you in the next vid. Bye.